In today's episode, we're going to be reacting to some of the strangest videos that I could find on the internet. Let's get into it.
What if I told you that some of the civilizations that we have on this planet are not even on this planet, but they are under the water, in the ocean, in the abyss, and they think that their universe is the only universe that exists, and anything outside of the dome that they live in and the habitation that they've been able to dwell in their entire lives since they were raised as embryos, as humans, that they don't even know about us as a civilization. You would say, what? You would say I was crazy, right? Well, check this out.
Been drained of all water, creating a breathable, oxygenated interior on the ocean floor. It's massive. I'm talking 50,000 feet high, miles in circumference. They basically began colonizing it. Okay, first they built cities, infrastructure, laying the groundwork for commerce, effective transportation systems. But it gets even darker. Okay, they didn't colonize it with people who know what's going on. Okay, they took human embryos, right? And they began raising this colony of kids who had no idea of any world outside of this environment and raised them in here with a fabricated worldview, false beliefs. Okay, they think that that biodome is their entire universe and anything outside of it is just a completely unknown abyss, right? Like, this is basically a deranged experiment carried out by these maniacs. Like, imagine taking one of those people out of there and bringing them up here. Like, just imagine the shock. Scariest part is there are dozens upon dozens of these biodome experiments down there.
Could this explain some of the craft we're seeing going in and out of the ocean? Is this what's really going, this biodome experiment? That there's civilizations upon civilizations living down there, 50,000 miles, 50,000 miles wide, look, we're talking about these things are absolutely massive. You have to think the ocean makes up 70 to 75% of this entire planet. So that little bit, that radius used to cover that amount of space is nothing. Can you imagine what's going on?
I mean, obviously all of that was AI generated, but the theory behind it is actually really cool and kind of scary in a way if you really think about it. I don't personally believe it, but to think about it is really fascinating. Let me know what you guys think about this one.
We talked about this meteor a couple months ago. The meteor is called 2024 YR4. It's the size of the Statue of Liberty.
300 feet.
And the percentage of it hitting Earth was like 1%. But in the past couple weeks, NASA has come out and said those chances have now doubled. They're calling it the city killer. They said it would be 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb that was dropped.
But if it hits the ocean, the waves from that.
Humongous tsunami.
Yeah, like Florida would not be here.
They're obviously more concerned about it than they're letting on. They're allowing any astronomer to have access to the James Webb telescope to observe it to make better predictions.
Yeah. So there's gonna be like shrapnel and like other things that come off this, right? If it were to hit Earth, like it would actually like kind of.
It's not that big. It's basically just like it would destroy a city and cause earthquakes.
And tsunamis.
I forgot to mention that part.
You'd be the worst newscaster ever.
Guys, wait,
no, it's gonna be fine. There will be earthquakes.
It won't destroy the earth, but it'll be like not good.
You can change the channel now. Wait a second. Wait. I forgot something.
This is my third time hearing about this asteroid now, and each time that I hear about it, it keeps going up in percentage just a little bit. Its percentage to hit Earth is not even at 3%. Close, but not at 3% yet. It just seems like this is the big talk right now, and I have a feeling it's gonna keep popping up. I am in hopes that it does not hit Earth at all, and the odds are looking like it's not going to, but it does seem like this is going to be a topic that just keeps getting brought up until the time comes, so let's all just hope for the best.
This video is absolutely spooky, and it's actually coming from a surgeon who was doing a tutorial video for her students. This is not the type of content she ever posts as far as paranormal scary, but she had to post this one. In the area that she was working, there's always been rumors that it's haunted, that corridor, those rooms are haunted, and people actually don't like to go back there. She didn't believe it until this. There was something watching her, and at the very end of the video, she captures it. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think.
The difference is, I'm so sorry, my brain. Okay, here we go. Back. So we have two procedures, polypropylene, one and polypropylene cathode. The difference between these two is that this one is double and time, and the procedure lasts anywhere from 60 to 90 days. literally tearing up right now. I saw that. I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
So they're seeing someone running around the hospital.
Can you please just show yourself? Just give me a sign. Do whatever you want.
Oh.
That's crazy.
I mean, I really didn't see much. You would think that there would be a security office where they could check footage as well just to see if anyone is running around. Now, this also could be a fake video. Mainly, the reason why I say that is at the very end, that shadow that just pops up out the door and runs past it, that kind of seems fake to me. But let me know what you guys think. It wouldn't surprise me if a hospital is haunted. If ghosts are real, they would probably definitely linger around a hospital or a place like that. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel.
What happened to this man is arguably one of the worst things that could ever happen to you. This is known as the 1,000-yard stare, and yes, all these photos are 100% real. These photos mainly occurring during World War I and II, but there is more recent examples, of course. Known as the 1,000-yard stare because of what their eyes are saying, you may also know this in forms of shell shock. Now, what actually causes this is seeing something very sudden and extremely traumatic, such as in the war where you may see people dying right in front of you, or traumatic events that you wouldn't even be able to repeat. Essentially being in an emotional shock that puts your body into this state where you can barely function. You've probably heard stories back in the wars of shell shock victims and how they were treated so badly as well, because we didn't really know that much about mental health and what to actually do with these people. We'd never really seen anything like it before. Nowadays there's a lot more treatment for this so people can get the help they need. It's still absolutely horrendous and can leave people in ways like this, causing many physical effects such as headache, confusion, dizziness, falling all over the place, stuttering of words, insomnia, extreme anxiety, and sometimes even paralysis. So if you ever see a video of someone like this, just imagine what they're going through.
So it looks like March is going to be an interesting month. So apparently there's going to be a blood moon in March, but it's not just going to be a normal blood moon, it's going to be a blood worm moon. Now for those who do not know, the full moon in March is called the worm moon because it occurs when the ground thaws and earthworms begin to surface. Now the name comes from ancient traditions of tracking the seasons using the lunar cycle. The full moon in March is associated with the arrival of spring, a time of rebirth and renewal. Put a bookmark right here in this idea of rebirth and renewal. While some other names for it is called sugar moon or death moon. Again, put a bookmark in that idea of death moon. I'm just presenting to you guys information. You can come to your own conclusion at the end. Okay, but now let's go back to this article about the full blood worm moon, which reaches its peak in the morning hours of Friday, March 14th. Now, for those who do not know, a blood moon is a total lunar eclipse. Now, to my flat earth friends and followers out there, please calm down. I am just presenting the information that they are talking about here. So according to the globe model, okay, During a lunar eclipse, the sun, moon, and earth all align so that the earth comes in between the moon and the sun. This means the earth will cast a shadow over the moon. When the moon is in this shadow of the earth casts a reddish shadow, hence the name blood moon. Now what I find interesting is how this right here reminds me of the sigil of Lucifer, or the sigil of Satan, which is this right here. Now, of course, this could be a coincidence, but my pattern recognition could not help but see the similarities. The similarities that we just saw there with the sigil of Lucifer or Satan could just be a coincidence, but I find it weird that we are seeing articles like this come out, how blood moon, a portal to future tech. Astronomers harness its mystical power? In this article, we can see right here, witnessing a blood moon has always been a captivating event, steeped in cultural lore and scientific interest. With the advent of modern technology, scientists are uncovering novel innovations with each blood moon that could reshape our technological future. There's no way I'm the only one who finds it interesting how they are tying this idea of mystical power with technology. Maybe it's because technology and magic are one and the same. Now, what's interesting about this worm blood moon in March is that it takes place a day before the Ides of March. For those who do not know, the Ides of March is March 15th, marking the halfway point in March, and it was marked with several major religious observances. But in 44 BC, it became notorious as the date of the assassination of Julius Caesar, which made the Ides of March a turning point in Roman history. As we can see, Julius Caesar was assassinated by a group of senators on the Ides of March, March 15th. So as we can see right here, the full moon usually occurs around March 15th. The Ides of March was a festival day dedicated to Mars, the Roman god of war. Mars, you don't say. I'm sure his obsession with Mars is just a coincidence, and his obsession with the Roman Empire, nothing to see here. Now, the word Ides comes from the Latin, which means to divide. Now, the Ides of March is associated with misfortune and doom because it was the day on which Julius Caesar was assassinated. Now, for those who do not know, the name March comes from the Latin name for Mars. And something interesting to point out about Julius Caesar is that he became the first dictator of Rome. I'm sure Julius Caesar had this same mentality right here, how he who saves his country does not violate any law. Now, what's interesting is how he was a Roman general and a statesman who played a key role in the transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire. Maybe a transition into a golden age. And something else to point out, again, just pattern recognition. Take it or leave it, it is just information. But Julius Caesar was born in Rome on either the 12th or the 13th. A lot of people say the 13th, but because that is the festival unto Apollo, he then changed it on the 12th. But let's just say he was born on July 13th, which is a coincidence because this event right here took place on July 13th, which coincidentally fell on the Roman festival unto Apollo called Ludi Apollinares, which first started on the 13th, but it grew into an 8-day festival. Again, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Now, another coincidence is that Donald Trump was born on a blood moon. As we can see, his birthday was June 14th, 1946, which perfectly fell on a blood moon. I wonder if this blood worm moon in March will live up to its name, Death Moon, or maybe it will be a time of rebirth and renewal. We will have to wait and see. But one thing I do find interesting is how March of 2020 is when this situation went down. Right on 3/11, which is 33. Again, this is just pattern recognition. Now, clearly time will tell, and I'm sure nothing is going to happen, but I do find it interesting how we continue to see programming like this coming out. So this is coming out February 20th. A television series from Netflix called 0 Day, which is about a devastating global cyber attack. Oh, how lovely. Now again, I'm sure nothing is going to happen. These events and dates come and pass all the time. But this video is for entertainment purposes, just showing you pattern recognition, and it's always fun to just see if anything does happen.
I really do not know much about the blood moon other than what this guy just talked about, but I can say the correlation between the sigil of Satan was really good catch. Seeing that graph compared to that sigil, you just can't deny that they both look identical. Now, if that means anything, I really don't know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think anything is going to happen, or do you think that it's just going to be another day?
Maybe we should pay attention when our memories try to tell us something. From the age of 3, a young girl named Dorothy Eady began insisting that she was not from this world. She told her parents she was from a place called Egypt, a land she had never visited, but spoke about with a familiarity that was impossible. She described temples, gardens, and palaces with intricate detail, places she couldn't have possibly known about. She would cry to go home, insisting she didn't belong in England. Her parents were baffled, especially when Dorothy began asking for strange foods and spoke of a husband she once had. But the most chilling moment happened when they visited the British Museum. Dorothy stood in front of an ancient Egyptian exhibit, her eyes wide with recognition. She ran to a statue and kissed its feet, whispering in a language no one could understand. When asked why, she simply said, "I know them. They are my people." Her parents were horrified, but Dorothy remained adamant. She knew Egypt, not just as a place in history, but as a home she once belonged to. Years passed, but Dorothy's obsession only grew stronger. She claimed she was once a priestess named Bentrashit, living over 3,000 years ago. She spoke of serving in the temple of Seti I and being in love with the pharaoh himself. She even described the secret passages and hidden rooms of the temple, places no one knew existed. Archaeologists took notice, and when she moved to Egypt, now calling herself Sidi, her knowledge stunned even the most experienced Egyptologists. She guided them to hidden chambers and undiscovered tombs, just as she had described as a child. Every detail was exactly as she said. It was impossible. How could she know? To her, it was simple. She was just coming home. Can memories truly cross the boundaries of time? What do you believe?
I did look this up to confirm if this was true or not, and there might be some twists into this story, but for the most part, it was all true. And I've heard the story before, but I never really dug in to see how true it really was, and I'm really surprised. It's actually a true story. It's another reason why I really think reincarnation is such a fascinating topic. I mean, how do you know all of these things, never being there, you're just a child, and you're getting all of this information correct? That's really crazy to me.
This video is for all the conspiracy theorists in the world that are looking for that one conspiracy theory that connects everything together. We have a community called the Little Season community, where we truly believe we found everything that connects Tartaria, the mud flood, flat earth, orphan trains, insane asylums. All that is explained by Jesus coming back in 70 AD and him ruling for 1,000 years. And they added 1,000 years to our timeline, which explains that too. Before I even get in all the other stuff I just talked about, I want us to look at coins like this where it says J and then the date look like this and have an I. And there's multiple examples of coins like this. But I would be Jesus, which is Jesus in Latin, and the J obviously for Jesus. And then the date would tell you what date you're in the 1,000 years. Then we have buildings like this. And we have buildings like this. Now onto Tartaria. As we can see, Tartaria is made up of two type of buildings. Now, when I do this to Tartaria, it's because Tartaria is actually a psyop to make us think that this was us and not Jesus coming back. But as we can see, they're only made up of two type of buildings. Buildings like this that are churches. Buildings like this are actually Roman. As you can see, the Corinthian pillars, which is very Roman architecture. And then that building right there, what does that look exactly like? It looks exactly like the Pantheon. Like exactly. And as you can see here again, this looks exactly like Venice, Italy. And Rome is in Italy. So obviously the inspiration came from Rome. And if you wonder who built these things, well, that was the Vikings that came 500 years before Columbus. And if you don't believe me, just look it up on Google. This is pretty common knowledge. The Vikings were also Roman and the Arabs were Roman. Islam was probably in the 1st century and Muhammad was probably the false prophet, but I don't know about that yet. I gotta keep going. As we can see here in Daniel, he says, the 4th beast is a 4th kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth, trampling down and crushing it. Then when Jesus comes back and destroys it, it says, but the court will sit, and his power will be taken right away and completely destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty and power and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be handed over to the holy people, the saints of the Most High. So So now you know that Rome was Tartaria, and these churches are just the saints that they built for free energy, and they lived inside of the Roman buildings that were handed over to them, like Daniel said. We have the mud flood. Buildings like this that were Roman, huge buildings like this in Iraq, and like this too, everything was completely buried, which is unfathomable. Then you combine that with the fact that Jesus specifically said to 7 churches in Asia in Revelation, repent, I'm coming back soon. And if you don't repent, you'll be destroyed. And guess what? All of those churches today were destroyed at the same time Rome was. So who destroyed Rome in the whole world? Because Rome was the whole world. Obviously, Jesus came back and judged the whole world. Do you guys really think that God was going to let his son be killed and not judge the world when he's judged the world for way less? Then we have thousands of examples of photos of children being shipped away on orphan trains. And their parents were being put in insane asylums. So what does that sound like? If you weren't agreeing with their agenda of Jesus not coming back already, you were put in an insane asylum and your kids would be shipped away. Because think about it. These people were just settling in the country, according to our history, and they were building wood huts and shooting each other like cowboys and riding horses. But then you also see insane asylums built at the same time that look like castles. So they were putting the crazy people in castles, but then they went back to their woodshed homes. Like, that obviously doesn't make sense. Obviously, these castles were repurposed. They were here before. And something happened where we lost the technology to build. So we had to restart and start building wood homes, but then repurpose the buildings we had before. And then we see that the world's fairs were selling premature infants for no reason. Nobody knows why, they were just doing it. As we can see here, these babies do not look healthy enough or even old enough to be out the womb. So it's very clear they were like cloning babies. And they were obviously cloning babies to repopulate the world because we just went through a catastrophic event. And this leads me to my next point. As we can see here, this is the Statue of Liberty's book, and it says July 4th, 1776, but in Roman numerals. Remember that. And then you see like witchcraft stuff underneath the Statue of Liberty. This is obviously a big ritual right here. And the statue is obviously Satan. So now that brings me to my point. Us little seasoned theorists believe that Jesus came back when the second temple fell, but I think that this dating is actually wrong because obviously our whole chronology is wrong. So what if the 7-year tribulation actually ended in 1776? Then Jesus establishes his 1,000 years. And 1776 is when Satan is released from his 1,000-year bounding. As we can see here, it says that he sees the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He threw him in the abyss and locked him, sealed him in over to keep him from deceiving the nations anymore until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be set free for a short time. So as you can see, Satan was released after the 1,000 years. And if I'm right about it being 1776, that's why we have the Statue of Liberty in Roman numerals, because the Roman numerals represent the beast, Rome. Rome was the final beast. And Satan controlled the final beast. He's the one who gave the beast power. So he is just Rome reincarnated. That's why when you hear Elon Musk and Trump say we want Rome reincarnated, they're a part of the programming. They're all a part of Satan. They just want Rome to rule the world again.
I'm all for a good Tartaria theory, but that was a lot to just say Trump and Elon are a part of the program. Let me know what you guys think about this guy. I don't know, that could just be someone in the house.
I asked AI if there were any occult services on the dark web where you could sell your soul, and the answers I got back were chilling. First of all, ChatGPT tried to pass it off, saying it was a scam, that people on the dark web use it for like identification theft or to scam money out of people. But it didn't say it doesn't exist, so I probed further. I asked them what these sites were offering in return for their souls. This is where it gets scary. In exchange for souls, a ritual would be performed for them, and the desires that they wanted in this realm would be granted to them in exchange. So in some ways I do agree with ChatGPT. It's definitely a scam. The only thing you can take away with you from this realm is your soul. All material things are left behind. So why would you swap something that's infinite for things that are temporary? Definitely doesn't make sense. It seems ChatGPT was just as oblivious as most people are in this life. Why would you go to the trouble of setting something like that up on the dark web? For a joke.
It's crazy at what's out there on the internet. Websites for you to supposedly sell your soul. That has to be one of the craziest things that I've heard. I guarantee you that there's probably been people out there that's done that too, that's actually went on them websites, whatever dollar amount that those people wanted, and sold their soul. And that's such a scam. You really shouldn't want to be doing that stuff in the first place. And if you did, do you really think you're gonna find that problem on the internet? I'm pretty certain that Satan would probably be more than happy to accept your soul if you were just willingly gonna give it away. I do not think that you would need to search the internet for that. But I'm not no soul selling expert, so I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
Whatever you do not do this. For some reason, don't ask me why, but Quicksand is trending again and people are freaking out about it. When you were younger, I'm sure you saw the movies about how deadly Quicksand is. It will just suck you in and you're finished, mate. But in reality, Quicksand is a lot different than that. So how do you actually get out of it? So Quicksand is actually more common to find than you think. It's not like some booby trap set by monsters in the woods that just creams you. And obviously the most common thing when you see it in films is everybody freaking out, moving loads, and they just kind of stay there. In reality, if you freak out and move too much, that's what's actually going to cause more suction, pull you in, and you're a dead man. So what you need to do is like paddle your feet a little bit and actually just relax. Don't freak out because it's not that dangerous. Slowly edge back so that you're laying down and just keep moving your feet up. So eventually your feet will flutter up, you're laying on your back and your feet will start to come out of the sand. Now in a lot of areas where there is quicksand, the chances are there's going to be some trees around it or logs, which yeah, you can grab onto these and that will help pull you out as well. But if there's not, you can just do exactly as I've just said. Of course it is dangerous if you freak out and are a bit stupid, but if you actually just follow what you're meant to do, you should be fine.
Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching, and with that being said, have a good day.